Sports Talk Chicago. Here Jon Zaghloul, and we are back and ready for today's special guest. He's the host of Kap and J Hood on ESPN 1000 Unfiltered on NBC Sports Chicago, the reKAP on YouTube. Please welcome David Kaplan to the program. Kap, great to have you on. How are you?
John, good to be with you, man. How's everything?
Everything's great. How are things going for you?
Everything is good. Just hanging out and looking forward to talking some sports with football back.
What do you make of the Bears preseason, first off?
I think the operation, the game day operation, just looks cleaner. I just don't think there's enough talent on the roster to make a measurable difference. Other people, see this as a 9-10 win team. I don't, but that doesn't mean that they aren't on the right track. It's just going to take time.
How concerned are you about that lack of talent and Justin Fields' development?
I think after talking to Steve Young, the Hall of Famer, I asked him, can you properly evaluate Justin if the team's 4-13, 5-12? He said, absolutely you can. He said, you may not see it all on Sundays, but the people in the building, the O coordinator and the quarterback coach and his teammates and the head coach, they'll know if this is the right guy.
How's Justin Fields look to you right now?
I think he's going to be a star. I don't believe that they got this pick wrong. I think if you redrafted, I'm convinced he would probably go second. Zach Wilson, I don't think, is going to be as good a player as Justin. I don't know what Trey Lance is. Maybe he'll end up being the best of them all, but I do like what I've seen from Justin Fields. I'm a big Justin Fields guy.
He's made improvements this offseason, too, and now you got a new offense, new regime in there. Are you expecting a bigger jump for him this season?
I'm expecting a bigger jump in what we see in terms of control of the offense. I just don't know if the offensive line is going to be improved. I hope it is. And I don't know who he's throwing the football to. Cole Kmet, okay. Darnell Mooney obviously is a hell of a player. But beyond that, Kansas City let Tyreek Hill leave and could have kept Byron Pringle and chose to let him walk. Aaron Rodgers lost Devontae Adams and let Equanimeous St. Brown walk. So if these dudes are that impactful, why are they not still on the teams that they were at?
How confident are you in Luke Getsy leading the offense with his play calling?
I like what I've seen. Now, again, he's never called a play in the National Football League other than in the preseason. I was at training camp. The operation looks good. They didn't have a lot of pre-snap penalties in the preseason. So it looks like everything is on the right track. Again, he just doesn't have the full complement of weapons to go, all right, I know I got the best blockers. I know I've got 4 really good receivers, and I got a great quarterback who's seasoned. None of that is true yet.
He'll be better than Matt Nagy, though, right?
I would hope so. When Matt came in here, let's not forget, Matt was the coach of the year. He went 12-4. Matt Eberflus hasn't won a game yet in the National Football League. And as much as we all, me included, wanted Matt Nagy out of here, he was 12-4. He was 8-8, and then another 8-8. And then you take a look at where they're at now. They have to rebuild this entire thing. So let's find out what we've got before we anoint these guys better than a guy who was coach of the year. And I hope that they are.
David Kaplan here on Sports Talk Chicago. Kap, how do you react to Mitch Trubisky being named the starter in Pittsburgh?
I loved it. I'm a big Mitch guy. I always was. I think he was in a bad situation here. He's the co-captain there, voted on by his teammates. I'm all in on Mitch Trubisky. Do I think he's going to be Patrick Mahomes? No. Obviously, if you were redrafting, you would take Patrick Mahomes over Mitchell Trubisky. But I'm happy that the kid's in a good spot. Let's see what he does.
What do you think went wrong for him here in Chicago?
Well, I think some of it is Matt Nagy. I think some of it is he didn't have a ton of talent around him. It was just a tough situation. We're going to find out. Was Ryan Pace right when he drafted this kid? Was Matt Nagy right when he felt Mitch wasn't the answer? I think we'll have a lot of clarity probably midway through this season.
How good of a quarterback do you think he really is? Where would you rank him?
I think he's a middle-of-the-road guy. Now, he's got more weapons in Pittsburgh. He has got a different mindset after learning under Brian Daboll and playing behind Josh Allen last year. He's got Najee Harris. His offensive line is okay, not great, maybe better than the Bears, but I don't think it's an elite offensive line. So again, we're going to find out. Mitch has been given this opportunity with a hell of a head football coach. So if Mitch is truly a better player than what we saw here, you'll see some of it.
What's your expectation overall for him in Pittsburgh this year?
I think he hangs on to this job longer than people think. I think him being voted the team captain and then, Mike Tomlin's casting his lot with Mitch over the number one pick, Kenny Pickett, tells you that they believe in this kid. And then I listened to Jay Glazer, who's one of Mike Tomlin's best friends. He said, there is no controversy here. Mitchell Trubisky will be the quarterback this season. So let's find out. Let's see what he can do.
Let me ask you this. Who does better this year, Justin Fields in Chicago or Mitch Trubisky in Pittsburgh?
That's a good question. I think that Justin Fields is a better football player. I think he will show more in terms of what the Bears are looking for long term. Mitch may have a better football team around him.
Very interesting. What's that mean for Justin Fields long term? I would assume that over time, when he develops more, he will obviously overcome Mitch and be a better quarterback than Mitch long term, though.
You would think. Now, again, the Bears are going to have $100 million or more in cap space, probably a top 10 pick, so they should have a chance to add some weapons around him, and then we can find out what both guys do. If you asked me to pick who I'd want quarterbacking my team, I'd go Justin Fields.
Over Mitch Trubisky right now, still Justin Fields moving forward. Yeah.
I would take Justin Fields. That's how high I am on this kid. And I'm not anti-Mitch.
No, exactly. Definitely. What do you think about the Bears as a whole? What do you expect out of them this year?
5-12, something like that. I don't understand the people that are saying this is a 9-10 win football team. I don't see it. I really don't. Again, questionable offensive line, questionable receiver room, which might be among the worst in the National Football League. And I don't know if their defense is going to pressure the quarterback enough. I'm going to double team Robert Quinn. Is Al Muhammad, the kid on the other defensive end who was in Indianapolis, going to do what Khalil Mack did on the other end when he was healthy? You don't have Akeem Hicks anymore. We're going to find out. There's a lot of great things that we're going to learn about the talent currently on the roster.
What about next year? The Bears are going to have all this cap space. What should they do with that money? How should they allot it so that way they can add weapons and make this team better?
Well, let's find out. Braxton Jones the answer at left tackle? If he is, that's a huge question answer with a 5th-round draft pick. If he's not the answer at left tackle, that's the first thing you have to do is go find the best available left tackle and put him right out there to protect Justin Fields. So if that's the case, that's what I'm going to do. Again, I've got to make sure that offensive line is fortified. I've got to be able to pressure the quarterback on the other side, and I got to add at least 2 big-time receivers.
How close are the Bears to returning to the playoffs right now?
How close are the Bears to returning to the playoffs right now? I mean, I don't think they're close. I don't. I have them at 5-12. If you told me they finished 6-11, okay. If you told me they finished 4-13, okay. I think that's where this team is. Could they squeak out 7 wins on a mediocre NFL? Yeah, they have an easier schedule than most. But, you never know when you play a team. You could play Tampa Bay, and if Tom Brady and 3 receivers are injured, it's not the same team. When Buffalo rolls in here, if Josh Allen is injured, well, that's not the same football team. Potentially, they have an easier schedule. So I think we're going to learn a lot. By the time we get to the bye week in week 14, that's a tough gauntlet, man. And not have your bye for 14 weeks doesn't allow you to heal up at all.
Do you trust Ryan Poles in getting them back to the playoffs and progressing them towards the Super Bowl?
Do I trust Ryan Poles? I do. But again, he's never been a general manager. This is a guy in his apprenticeship. Same with Matt Eberflus. He's never been a head coach. Luke Getsy's never been a play caller. Alan Williams has never been a DC. There are a lot of questions, and we're casting our lot with a lot of dudes who've never done it. They come highly regarded, everyone deserves their first opportunity. You and I had to have someone stick a mic in front of us to give us a chance, and then what you do with it is up to you. So I think we're gonna again learn a lot as the season goes on.
Were they your picks when the Bears were looking for a GM and head coach? Were you fixated on these guys with no experience coming in, or were you looking for guys with more experience?
I was looking for a head coach with more experience. In terms of the GM, I didn't know enough of the inner workings a lot of these front offices. In terms of a head coach, I had always wanted someone who has head coaching experience. Ryan Day at Ohio State, who coached Justin, was someone that I had definitely looked at. Doug Peterson was a guy I thought about. He won a Super Bowl in Philadelphia, but again, he's Matt Nagy's best friend, so I'm not sure how that would have worked. Would it have been the same type of system? I don't know, but again, he's a Super Bowl winning head coach. He's down in Jacksonville. We'll see how he does. But I probably, if I was the owner, would have hired someone as my coach that had been a head coach before.
So are you concerned about the lack of experience at head coach and GM, or is that not going to be a problem if the results come through?
It's not a problem if the results come through. There wasn't some huge free agent head coach. Now, next year, if you were looking, Sean Payton's sitting out there, and he's going to coach. He has said, I'm coming back to coaching. So if Sean Payton is truly a guy that's going to be a free agent and I'm an owner and I need a coach, whether that's Dallas or whoever that might be, first call I'm making is to that dude.
I want to shift gears for a second. What do you make of the Kevin Jenkins situation? You were reporting a lot about Jenkins early on in training camp. He's since come back. He's been named a starter. How do you reconcile this entire situation with him?
Well, there was definitely something going on. It couldn't have been a serious injury because he was gone for 8 practices and then right back there ready to work. So I was told by people who would know that there was a disconnect where he was being played, how he was being coached, and they finally were able to come to a meeting of the minds because you're going to give away a guy you traded up, even though it was a different regime. It's still the Chicago Bears. You traded up to get this guy at 39, and now you're going to get a conditional 6, a 5th round pick. That was it. Nobody else was beating your door down. So they said, you know what? It's on us. Let's figure this out. And if he can't play after this year, it doesn't work out, we could say we tried and we moved on rather than just blowing it up from the get-go. And I think it's worked well so far for both sides. Now let's see how he plays.
What have you heard recently about the situation? Any new developments, or are things going well based on him being named a starter?
No, it seems like they came to a meeting of the minds and things are in a much better place. Coach, GM, player.
David Kaplan, still here on Sports Talk Chicago. Kap, a few more questions before we finish up. First off, YouTube. How'd your channel come up?
So I started this YouTube channel back in the end of April, 29th of April, and we're already north of 8,000 subscribers. It's really taken off, and I think throughout the Bears season, we're going to have so much Bears content on there that I think will continue to grow at a pretty rapid rate. It's a lot of fun. Look, I do my radio show every day. I do my TV show Unfiltered every day. But this gives me an outlet when the ball games are over tonight. Cubs and White Sox. White Sox will play this afternoon. When these games end, I have a chance to get my thoughts out and people can post their responses right on my YouTube page. And I think it's a good outlet for the fan. And then a lot of fans, they don't have time to watch every game, but they want to know what happened. It's free to subscribe. There's no cost to them. So I get a lot of emails. Hey, I'm getting my coffee. I watch the Cubs. I watch the White Sox. I watch the Bears recaps. Then they go to work and everyone says, you see the game last night? No, but I know exactly what happened because I watch them all.
And I'm sure it's nice for you, too. I mean, you've covered the Cubs, did their pre and post game for 25 years. So I'm sure it's nice to kind of be back in that role on YouTube like that, too.
It is. And I get to do it from my house. And it's organic. I take people like you're watching me. I'm down here in my man cave where I got my 5 TVs and everything's here. Or I do it in my kitchen. I do it in my office upstairs. I have a home in Wisconsin. I do it from the lake house up there. It's just a lot of fun to let people into my life.
Any big giveaways or prizes moving forward for the channel?
So I gave away a 70-inch TV from Apt Electronics when we hit 5,000 subscribers, and then two others won $100 gift cards to Lou Malnati's. I'm going to do that again at 10,000 subscribers, and we're north of 81, almost 8,200. So I would imagine in the next couple of weeks I'll be giving that away again.
And Kap, before we finish up today, last question. How do you feel about the clown singing you happy birthday on Sports Talk Live? You're not a big clown guy, right?
I despise clowns. I do not like clowns. It was never my thing, not even as a kid. I just don't like them. They creep me out. And then when John Gacy, the serial killer, we found out they called him Killer Clown, I'm like, I'm totally out on clowns. So no, not a clown guy.
Kap, thank you so much for joining me. Always a pleasure. Best wishes with everything you're doing on ESPN 1000, NBC Sports Chicago, and the reKAP. And looking forward to connecting again soon for sure.
Yep, the best to you, man. I appreciate you having me on. And if you ever need me, you know how to get me.